Big news out of the track and field world. Snoop Dogg, yes, the rapper, just ran 200 meters at the US Olympic trials in 34.44 seconds. And that got me thinking. Snoop Dogg is a 52-year-old non-runner who does smoke a lot of pot. And it just got me thinking about what could us distance runners who practice this running thing much more frequently than Snoop Dogg, what could we run for 200 meters? And that's what I want to talk about in this video. So Snoop Dogg ran this 200 meters in 34.44 seconds, which is about 4:36 per mile. That is fast, but for 200 meters, it's quite manageable. And I posted something on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it these days, talking about this exact thing. And this tweet did go a little bit viral. It now has well over 100,000 views. And you'd be really surprised with a lot of these comments on this post, because some people think they can run 22 seconds in a 200 with no training, and some people think that it might take them 34 hours to run a 200. So I want to give you a challenge today. Get out there, get on a track, and try to run 200 meters as fast as you can. You might be a little sore for a few days, but it's short enough where it's not really going to pose too much of an injury risk. Now, 200 meters is half of a lap on a standard 400 meter outdoor track. So you would start on the curve and then you would finish at the end of the straightaway at the finish line. That is 200 meters. And I think more distance runners need to sprint, need to be able to run very fast and be comfortable running very fast. So if you're someone who's not yet comfortable running very, very fast, very close to your maximum speed, in this video, I want to talk a little bit about how you can get yourself more comfortable at those high speeds. Because even if we are endurance runners and you want to run a fast marathon or half marathon, those performances are essentially a certain percentage of your maximum speed. Having a higher max speed improves that speed ceiling so that it makes running a faster endurance race much more likely. So let's get started and talk about how you can start working in this kind of speed development into your training, even if you're a distance runner. Okay, the first thing that you're going to get started with are strides. Strides, very fundamental. This is a fun introduction to speed work. Strides are simply 100-meter accelerations. So it's about half the distance of that 200 that Snoop Dogg ran, but you're not going to run it as fast as you can. You are going to accelerate, and about halfway through the stride, you're going to reach about 95 to 98% of max speed. Strides are not that precise, so you don't have to worry about timing your stride. It doesn't really count for your mileage. Think of strides as like a fun drill that you do after an easy run to help you play with speed, touch speed, practice running fast without it being difficult. And so the whole point of strides is to get comfortable running fast. Work on your form, maintain really good technique, and don't let your form get too sloppy. You don't want to be flailing around, because then you will be sort of defeating the purpose of strides. You can work up to 4 to 6 strides, 2, maybe 3 times a week if you're slightly more advanced. And this is going to give you a really good foundation of speed, and that will enable you to get into some of the more advanced speed work sessions that we're going to talk about right now. I could not make these videos without your support. So first, let me say thank you. And this video is brought to you by our very own Performance Training Journal. I have always been in love with hard copy training journals for a few really good reasons. Number one, when I was a new runner and I started keeping an actual training journal like this, I learned so much more about the sport and myself just by that practice. It really forces you to reflect on your training, to think more deeply about what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And if you are constantly reflecting on your training, praising yourself for what's going right, planning for the future, and then looking back on what has previously worked for you, you are going to really know yourself as a runner. You're going to start to make wiser decisions about your training. I also created this training journal because I want you to focus on the training metrics that actually matter, the training metrics that help you improve. get better, and progress with your running. We don't have to focus on everything. We just need to focus on what matters. I also took a lot of inspiration from professional runners that I've talked to on the Strength Running podcast. They're adamant by completing a training journal and reflecting on what works for you and actually giving yourself some praise within your journal. You're essentially completing a gratitude journal. You are building up your confidence in your own abilities over time. And when you look back on that journal before a big goal race, you are going to be reading in your own words why you're capable, why you can do this. And I can think of nothing more confidence building than an act like that. So I hope you check out the new performance training journal. It is now available on Amazon. It debuted as the #4 new release in the running category, and I could not be more proud of it. So thank you again for subscribing to the Strength Running YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoy the Performance Training Journal. Okay, let's talk about advanced speed. Once you're a little bit more comfortable with strides, now I want you to get into hill sprints. So let's replace one of those sessions of strides per week. So if you're doing 2 sets of strides every week, now you're only going to do 1. But in place of them, you're now going to run hill sprints. Hill sprints are not hill repetitions. This is not considered a speed workout or any sort of faster training session. These are very much like strides. It's like a drill, something that you would do after an easy run. And what you're going to do is find the steepest hill that you can, and you are going to run as fast as possible, 100% effort, max speed up this hill for 6 to 10 seconds. Really advanced runners can get up to 12 seconds, but I start to think that that's a little bit too long for the purposes of hill sprints. Hill sprints are designed to be as fast and as speedy as you can muster. So this is really a 100% effort. And the goal here is force production and recruiting as many muscle fibers as possible. This is truly sprint work and a true speed development session. Now, what most distance runners get wrong is the recovery. You want a full recovery of at least 90 seconds, preferably up to 2 minutes. And this is not a jog recovery. This is an easy walking recovery. You can just stand around. I remember when I was in college, we would make fun of the sprinters because they would run for 10 seconds and then they would just hang out for 5 minutes and not do anything. We'd be like, is this really work? What are they doing? It is work. It is very difficult because hill sprints, much like true speed development work, is not really anaerobic. It is so short that you don't even start to engage the anaerobic metabolism. This is much more glycolytic. You are just using your nervous system to produce max muscle force, and that does a really good job at building strength, building injury resilience, and of course, building a lot of speed. Now, the last piece of this puzzle is real speed development work. Now, if you haven't done this before, it's probably going to leave you pretty sore. I want you to be very cautious and judicious about using speed development in your training. You probably don't have to do this if you're a marathoner, a half marathoner, but if you are training for a 10K or a similar distance, you might want to incorporate a little bit of speed development work into your training. Speed development work is difficult because, like hill sprints, it's done max speed as fast as you can, and it's done on a track. So you don't get the benefit of running uphill with less impact forces. You have to run on flat ground, and that's going to be really challenging when you are just experiencing all those forces. It's probably going to make you pretty sore. So with that caveat out of the way, speed development is very short distances of 20 to 30, 40, 50 meters where you're supposed to be going as fast as possible. The goal here is maximal speed. And if you're a sprint coach or you hang out in the sprinting world, they're going to talk about max velocity. You want to be running as fast as possible. And the key here is full recovery of probably at least 2 minutes and very low volume. You don't want to be doing high volume sprints. So something like 3 or 4 times 40 meters is all you really want. 4 times 30 meters, that sounds great to me. That seems like such a short amount of work. I mean, you're literally doing 120 meters worth of speed work, when most of us are doing miles and miles worth of speed work most of the time. But that's because this is so difficult and you are trying to train your muscles, your nervous system to produce force very quickly. This is truly a power exercise. This is you training the power aspect of running. So maybe do this once a week, once every 2 weeks, in addition to strides and hill sprints. You could do this before your normal workout so that you're just firing up those energy systems and just getting your body primed for your more traditional endurance-oriented workout that's to come. All right, guys, I know we can all run faster than Snoop Dogg. He is not a runner. And even though I'm very impressed with what Snoop Dogg has done, I know that with a little bit of training, even our marathoners can be faster sprinters than Snoop Dogg. So here's your challenge. Let's incorporate some of this kind of speed development work into our training. You don't have to do strides, hill sprints, and speed development all at the same time. That's a little bit overkill, especially for an endurance runner. But this video is designed to give you a conceptual framework for how to introduce gradually faster and more difficult sprints into your training. And here's the challenge. I want you to go run 200 meters on a track. You can't do this on a treadmill or on the road. With these short distances, we truly need absolute precision, and that's what the track offers. Let's get on that track, race 200 meters as fast as you can, see what kind of a time that you get. I know you're not going to be able to have fully automatic timing like Snoop Dogg did, but hopefully you can still beat his time. So within the next week, get on the track, race 200, and leave your finish time under this video. I want to see how many people we can get running faster than Snoop Dogg.